In today's video, I'm going to show you guys my top 5 strategy tips for winning wars in New World. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys some strategies that I've picked up over the last few wins that I have had, but also all of the losses that I have had in the wars on New World. As a lot of you guys will know, these territory wars can be pretty tough, and so giving you guys a few tips on terms of strategy and in terms of composition, things like how you can do better on the battlefield independently, how your team can do better, and some stuff from a shot calling perspective. And these are going to be like my top 5 areas, if you like, of how you can make this better for yourself. Now, obviously, as I say there, we've had a few wins as of recently, but before that we were getting a lot of losses, and obviously there was exploits in the game, there was, lag issues, and all of those things do play a factor. But after the most recent update, the couple of wars that I have fought in, we've won both, and actually it's been a lot better. The lag has been pretty much clear, need I say it, touch wood everybody, but hopefully it stays that way. And it does seem like most of the exploits that were in the game at the current point are actually fixed, which is amazing. So what I'm going to jump into first here then is actually the composition of your team. So for a lot of teams, they'll generally throw in whoever's level 60. I'm going to do this kind of from the perspective of having a full level 60 roster, but of course the priority list still stands depending on whatever level you've actually got on your team, and of course, kind of the competition level on your server, because I would imagine every server is slightly different. But essentially what you want to be having is a solid foundation team. Now, I'm not going to give away our exact strategies in these videos, at least until we found a counteract to them, which to most of them we have, but there's a few still things that I want to kind of finalize, and obviously I'll bring you guys a video updated on that as soon as I can, as soon as people start to figure it out. But right now there's not a lot of people doing what we're doing, so you'll be able to piece it together if you listen carefully in this video, but I'm not going to outright tell you exactly what we have been doing, just in case there is any of my fellow enemies on the server that I am on in here today watching the video, because obviously we still need to win those wars. So composition then. You want to make sure you've got a nice balance of teams. You want to make sure you've got a nice balance of players. And depending on what your priority is going to be as a squad, whether you're wanting to fight this as splitting people up, which we'll talk about in another tip, or if you want to fight the enemy group as a big Zerg. And obviously this kind of also depends what you're doing based off whether you're attacking or defending. You want to come up with a composition for your team. Now, I'm not going to tell you the exact composition that you should have, because everybody is different. Everybody has different players who are better at doing different things. And of course, I'm sure a lot of the guys that are watching this are war leaders, will have their own idea of what composition you would like to do. But what I would recommend for a composition is getting a composition of groups together and make sure that the similar or the same players play in those groups every single time, and that works from a shot caller's perspective. So personally, I shot call for my wars with Dilly D. We lead the wars together for myself, my group, and his group as well. We kind of combine forces in effort to, just have as much fun as possible. And what we found really easy is knowing which groups do what every single war. So for example, you might have group 4 who is the flank group, or you might have group 9 who is the siege group, or whatever you want to do for your team. So having that composition be the same every single time will be hugely beneficial. Now, on top of that, what you will want to be doing is making sure that you've got players of a similar or the same role in those slots as well. So for example, if you've got, say, group 10 is your siege team every time, and their job is to either be anti-siege or placing down your siege, you're going to want to probably have ranged people in there. You might want a healer in there as well. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got 4 musket players, 4 fire mages, or kind of whatever else composition-wise you actually want to have, but keep it the same every time, so you know the capabilities of the squad will be the same. For example, this is more beneficial when you're talking about tanks. Maybe you've got paladins. You want to make sure that you've got the same amount of those in every war, so you know exactly what you're doing, you know what capabilities your team has. And as a shot caller, it makes it easier. As a team, it makes it easier, and as a member of the war, you know that you're backed up by those roles specifically. Also, next thing here I wanted to talk about is, like I mentioned there, the ability to flank, to split, and to Zerg. So those are kind of your main options. You have a Zerg, which is going as a big group of 50 pushing something together, so all 50 of you push C flag, for example. Splitting generally is where you put half and half somewhere, or you go 5 and 45, whatever you want to do. Splitting up your group in some variety in aims to basically drag the enemy players out. And then of course you have your flank groups, which will probably go with the main Zerg. So say for example you're attacking flag A, you'll have 30 or so players pushing, and then maybe another 10 that go around the back and attack the enemy backline. And the enemy backline will consist of people like healers, mages, ranged DPS players that are standing further back, usually in light or medium armor, so we're a lot squishy, so when you're sending people around the back in a flank team, this can work really, really effectively to clear that out and help take pressure and heals, of course, off the point, which can help you to really, really capture those flags. Now, that's going to be a really, really important point, is learning how you're going to do that, but please do bear in mind as well, when you are talking about movement and battlefield positions, when you get into the fort, you will have to consider this as well, because obviously the aim is to capture all 3 points and then capture the fort itself to take the territory if you are attacking. If you're defending, obviously you don't even want to lose those 3 points outside, so you will need to bear this in mind. But if you are going to be attacking, it's vital to remember that the flank team, usually I like to send our flank team up onto the battlements, or I'll send our range guys up there, or our healers. I'll send the flank team kind of round to clear the point, but don't forget that the enemy will be spawning inside of that fort with you, so you do need to have some prowess and some kind of priority on where you want to be targeting each of your groups, particularly if you do manage to split them up earlier in the match to be able to capture those flags. So bear that in mind if you are from a command point of view. If you're from a member point of view, kind of you're just involved in the wars but you don't do any of the planning, just make sure you're making yourself useful. Try and target those people that are in light and medium armor that are going to be easier to kill for you, and of course support with heals on the site if you're a healer, AoE damage if you're a ranged guy, and if you are a melee guy, try and have some sort of CC or some stuns that you can throw onto that point when they do go for the push for it, because the respawn time is going to be the thing that wins you the final push onto that fort time. If you can get 20-30 of their players on respawn timers and you've got 20 or 30 of your guys sat on the flag, it's a GG. So that's essentially what you're aiming for when you do push through those gates. So make sure that you've got a composition there that works, either personally or as a leader, as a whole group as well. Now, the third thing here that I wanted to specifically touch on is actually siege. Now, a lot of people don't know much about siege in this game, so essentially I'm going to do it from both perspectives. First off, here you've got defense. Obviously, you put the siege onto the walls. It is then able to shoot down at enemies, and of course, you need people to man this. Now, if you've got a fully upgraded wall, you'll probably have around 14 to 15 cannons, repeaters, ballistas, all that kind of thing, and of course your warhorn and thing is up there. But basically you can go ahead to those. You are able to repair them with the items from the armory, so you can go in there. There'll be cogs, or little spare parts they're called, at the bottom. You can click claim parts, and if you're a consul or a leader of a company, you are able to then go around and repair the siege on your walls. If the enemies do try and attack it, you can then repair it back, which is really, really useful and should be a vital priority for any defending companies, because the siege is going to be really, really important, particularly when you're going to be utilizing that in a safe position pretty much for your guys, compared to the enemies who are going to have to place this down on the battlefield. So it's really, really important, particularly if the attacking team do split up and you've got 20 versus 20. If you've got your siege helping out, it's going to be a huge, huge support. Now, that on the flip side, obviously you can attack from the attacking perspective the enemy siege with your range guys, try and attack them, or indeed just kill the players off of them. Also, you can put your siege down wherever you like on the map, so that you can actually position it around each point that you're attacking. Place 2 at one point, 2 at another, 2 at the middle point, whatever you want to do, and kind of set up your siege there to help with all of the pushes that you are doing, should you want to do that. And obviously it can be destroyed by the enemies, as can the, defending siege, but it is really, really good because it will give you a ton of support. And like I said there, you can even use it to kill the enemy siege or the enemy players that are on the siege, so that you can get a little upper hand fighting in that point that you're currently trying to take. Now, one really important thing not many people know is that when you are attacking, obviously you start off with level 1 cannons and repeaters, and obviously fire launchers, that sort of stuff, whereas the guys that are defending with the fort will already have theirs set up at level 2, level 3, whatever they've got it up to. Now, if you pick this up by going over to the respective siege, you press T, that will open up an interface that then allows you to interact with that, and then you can click an option that says pick up. You take this to the armory inside the war camp, and it will give you the option to upgrade it. I do believe you need battle tokens or spare parts to do this, and then it will give you the option to upgrade its tier, so it does obviously more damage. And of course you can buy more ammo for it at the regular armory shop as well from your battle tokens, so you can keep these going. You can upgrade them so they do a lot of damage, and that's going to be something which is really, really good to do. So certainly worth doing that, and I would recommend getting your team to start looking at upgrading these cannons, and particularly the repeaters if you're going against the enemy siege, because it can do a lot of damage, and not many people know about upgrading yet, so you're going to take the enemy by big surprise. Now, moving on to the fourth thing here. The fourth thing I wanted to mention is actually how to play as a light player, or how light players should be kind of getting involved in the wars, because a lot of you will know basically heavy armor kind of dominates the meta right now, and of course because the cannons, the ballistas, and all of that kind of good stuff, they do an awful lot of damage, even to people in heavy, but people in light can be one-shots. People in medium can be pretty much one-shot, if not definitely one-shot. So if you're playing light or medium armor, there's certain things that you should be doing during the course of the match which are really, really going to help out. Now, again, this is kind of down to personal preference and playstyle, kind of what your leader dictates for the war lead, so kind of what the strategy is, right? But there's certain things you can do as an individual player that are really going to help, and that's going to be things like using ult to make sure that you are looking around, checking your flank, rotating. One thing that's really crucially important is if one of your other players that's also in light armor gets attacked, particularly by someone with a hammer, because generally enemy teams like to send hammers to flank backlines, turn around and attack them with your friend. Even if you're a healer, just start light attacking, heavy attacking, whatever you want to do. Put some damage down and hope that one of your melee guys either respawns and helps you out or rotates back to help you out, because you will put down some damage. But if 2, 3, or maybe even 4 or more of you turn around on that backline and attack the player that's pushed in, you can kill them very, very quickly, because they're not going to be defending much. They're going to be focusing on trying to get that kill, throwing CC down, and if you're all spread out attacking them, you can actually burn them down pretty quickly and get a few kills for your team and defend yourselves by doing that as well, obviously with heals and things going down, which is really, really nice. Now, the other main thing you need to be doing is continuously moving around, so you don't want to be stood static. Even if you've been asked to hold the back line and you're holding the camp side if you're attacking, or the fort side if you're defending, you still need to be moving in almost a semicircle around the points. Most of the time, I will get my guys to rotate constantly so that they're never stood still. Cast a spell, cast an attack, whatever you need to do, move. Do it again and then move. Do it again and then move, because that way, obviously, you're going to get things like where people are using the musket, they're not going to be able to hit you as easily, but on top of that, you're not going to get caught by as many AoEs, you're not going to get caught by as much CC, and if anyone does try and charge at you with a great axe and a gravity well, you're already moving preemptively, so there's a chance you can escape that, or at least get some support from your team should you get caught by it, which is a lot better than kind of just lining up for bus tickets at the back, waiting to be hit, as a lot of players do that in both attacking and defending. So try and get it in your heads to move around a lot more, as that is much, much more beneficial. Now, finally here, the final thing I just wanted to go over is actually the comms side of things, and this is regarding whether you are a regular member in the war or whether you're the war lead. It doesn't matter, because there's going to be something in this tip for both styles of players. So obviously, if you're the war lead, I've got a lot of experience in this myself. The best thing I have found to do is keep the comms as short and as simple as you possibly can. Try to keep the comms concise, but also including enough information in them so players are not confused. If you simply say everybody push B, but you've specifically told teams 1 through 4 to always be on C this match, they should know what they're doing. But if you haven't told them that enough times beforehand, they may then also rotate. So just say main Zerg group push B. Groups 1 to 4 will already know that their job is to push C, and they're not the main Zerg group, so that might work a little better. And planning this beforehand, getting everybody into a call if it's possible, particularly if it's your own company or your main allies. But if it's other people, try and get them in and explain the plan beforehand as well, because it can be really, really useful. And of course, you can use the in-game army chat should you not have access to voice chats, so Discords, whatever. Then obviously that's an option too, but voice chat is certainly preferable for these events. I would also try to keep the comms calm and try and mute up everybody else that's in the call if you are using voice comms, just because it makes it simpler if there's only 4 or 5 people at an absolute maximum speaking during a war. If you get too many voices or people complaining when they die, because we all get annoyed, right? But if people are doing that vocally down the mic, it can demoralize other people, but more importantly, it can make them miss your important calls of what you're trying to lead. So always try and get a channel where everybody's muted except from the people calling. I like to generally have 2 or 3 other people who are giving me comms. If I've got a team that are on A flag while we're on B, I'd like someone from that team to be coming to me. If we're on defense, I'd like someone on the siege walls, someone on each of the flags that's defending, and then someone in the main Zerg comment to me at all times, giving me little updates like we've got 20 people pushing A, we've got 10 people pushing C, whatever that might be. Just small bits of information, very concise, which is really, really useful. But where this gets more down to a micro level is where you're in your actual groups. Now, what I've found to be a really good tactic is muting up in Discord and using the in-game party chat system, where you can coordinate with your group, try and stay together as a team, and actually coordinate attacks. We've done this several times when we've been helping our other Covenant allies on our server. So myself and my kind of main group, we go on to help other people in the wars when we're asked to, and we kind of coordinate that, not through talking over their leader in the Discord, but just by kind of rotating that in voice comms in game, which is really good, because of course if you're using Discord, it doesn't have the feature to go into individual rooms and still listen to the main guy, whereas TeamSpeak does. So it does of course depend what you're using, but generally if you're in a random war with random people, in-game chat's going to be your best bet. And if you are in a Discord Discord call. Again, using in-game chat is going to be really, really good because you're going to be able to coordinate attacks. Even simple things like focusing the same player, even if only you and one other person do it, a 2v1 is much better than a 1v1. Much higher chance of surviving, and even if you're clearly winning it, you've got a chance of being at higher HP when you do win and finally finish that fight, which is going to be really important for obviously going on to the next player and the next player, and then if you get flanked and dived and all that kind of good stuff, you're in a much better position. So always try and coordinate with your squad during the game and keep the comms going as well in the party chat, as well as listening to the main shot callers as well. So hopefully you guys have found this video useful and informative. These are just some of the main tips I have picked up along the way. They're kind of keeping them generic, so it's not getting too in-depth and specific to kind of my own wars as such, but it is giving you guys some of the main knowledge and main features that I've picked up along the way from, as I say there, an abundance of losses, but also an abundance of wins now, which is really, really nice on kind of both ends. So I've learned a lot from this. Hopefully you find it useful. If you have, please do be sure to leave a like on the video down below, as it really, really does help me out. And if you are new here to the channel, please do drop me a subscribe down below as well, as I do upload every single day, and I would love to have you here as part of my channel community. Other than that, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Take care and peace.